With a robust blend of strategy, politics, and real-world economics, Mithraeum is not just another run-of-the-mill game. Rather, it is an immersive live-action political simulator where players can strategically build and expand their settlements and armies, engage in diplomacy, establish alliances, and wage wars against each other. Exciting events like the upcoming tournament on the 31st of July with a $25,000 prize pool offer players a platform to test their strategies and win real rewards. As one of the earliest and most experienced teams of Mithraeum players, we at Metaguild have gathered a plethora of knowledge about the game's rules and mechanics, and we are here to share them with you. We've seasoned this video guide with practical tips and wisdom that we've acquired along the way. So, let's begin our journey through the intricate world of Mithraeum. Let's start by exploring the map. The game world is divided into numerous zones, each hosting settlements and cultist camps. To establish a presence on the map, you'll begin by crafting a banner. Creating a banner lets you plant your settlement in any vacant hexagon in the world of Mithraeum. The banner customization process allows you to choose your settlement's name, visual effects, and color scheme. Choose wisely, as your banner will be your signature identity on the map. Spotting multiple settlements bearing the same banner? That's a sign of a guild, and you'd be wise to tread carefully around them. Once your banner is ready, you can pick your location. Different zones come with varying settlement costs, based on their strategic location and popularity. The price is denoted in XDII, where 1 XDII equals $1. In return for this investment, you're securing a site to produce resources that could be sold to recoup your initial costs, or even fetch you a larger share of the prize pool if you prove to be an adept ruler. Now let's break down the different types of hexes across the zones. As we mentioned, these hexes are where settlements are built. They also calculate distances during army movements, and some can be claimed for an economic bonus. This bonus grants free labor towards one of 5 types of production in your settlement. Keep in mind, each settlement can only possess a maximum of 3 hexes. To claim a hex, you'll need a supply of prosperity and some patience. Prosperity in Mithraeum is accumulated by developing structures such as the lumber mill, mine, and smithy. Upgrading these structures increases your treasury size, and a full treasury earns you prosperity. This precious resource is vital for hiring workers and staking your claim on hexes. The time required to capture a hex depends on its distance from your settlement, with each hex adding 9 hours to the process. The capture action itself doesn't consume prosperity, but players must maintain a prosperity balance equivalent to their stake at the beginning and end of the hex capture. Every zone in the game contains a preset settlement, a camp or temple of cultists, which remains outside of player control. These cultists reside in a central camp within the zone, and they have a significant impact on the zone's economy. They even possess the power to instigate an event as catastrophic as the end of the world. A summon button allows for an increase in cultists across all zones, contingent on each zone's toxicity. However, this feature comes with a 2-week cooldown. Even during a battle, cultists' numbers can increase if a summon is initiated, with surviving members joining the new arrivals once the fight concludes. 10 days post-summoning, if the cultist count surpasses the total number of zones multiplied by 5,000, players can hit the End the World button. This drastic action obliterates all resources, armies, and buildings. Cultists also play a crucial role in a zone's economy. Every 100 cultists in a zone slow down resource production by 1%. If the number of cultists reaches 10,000, resource production comes to a complete halt. Moreover, the penalty for building investment in a zone corresponds to the number of cultists present there. A zone can never house more than 10,000 cultists. So, while managing your settlement, it's crucial to consider the cultist population and the potential influence it can exert on your strategic decisions. Now let's head to the barracks. In Mithraeum, your army is composed of 3 distinct units: infantry, warriors, archers, and horsemen. Warriors, representing your infantry, come into their own in the second round of battle. If your army withstands the initial enemy onslaught, your warriors will rise to the occasion. Archers represent a balanced force, a versatile choice when you're still working out your strategy. Horsemen, on the other hand, are your power players, capable of delivering a devastating blow to your enemies. Initial costs for these military units are 10 weapons each, while workers come at a price of 5 prosperity. Over time, unit costs naturally decrease at different rates. Warriors by 25%, archers by 20%, horsemen by 15%, and workers by a substantial 33% per day. However, every purchase, whether of a worker or a military unit, raises the price of the next unit by 0.3%. Crafting an effective army involves boosting your fort HP to accommodate a larger force and timing your military unit purchases strategically. Stockpile weapons when prices dip and stay a step ahead of other players. A balanced approach to military expenditure is key to maintaining economic stability while optimizing your army's power and size. Now let's examine the recruitment process. Suppose we wish to recruit one warrior. This requires 2.18 weapons. Remember, purchasing any unit, worker or military, increases the cost of the subsequent unit by 0.3%. Each troop type carries a fixed prosperity value if you choose to demilitarize. Warrior, 2 prosperity points. Archer, 3 prosperity points. Horseman, 4 prosperity points. If you deem your military unnecessary at a certain point, you can demilitarize your troops, yielding prosperity in return. This newfound prosperity can be utilized to recruit more workers, expanding your economy. Note that the demilitarization has a cooldown of 48 hours. Let's now delve into resource production within your settlement. The following resources are produced in different areas: food at the farm, wood at the lumber mill, ore at the mines, and weapons at the smithy. The image you see shows the default production speed, the number of workers you can assign to starting buildings, which start at level 2, and the resources required for production. For instance, your workers can produce food just by toiling at the farm, but creating wood requires additional food, and so forth. To forge a weapon, you'll need to invest all these resources. In Mithraeum, managing toxicity is vital. It rises with each action and can be reduced by burning resources or converting them into non-transferable forms. Higher toxicity summons more cultists to a zone, slowing resource production. Workers are the inhabitants of your settlement. To recruit more, you'll need to spend prosperity at the town hall. The price of workers varies according to supply and demand within the zone your settlement belongs to. There's no limit to the number of workers a settlement can house. Every worker contributes to the resource production in their respective buildings. Workers can be assigned to the following buildings: farm, lumber mill, mine, smithy, and fort. Each worker produces 10 resource points per day in production buildings and contributes 1 GP at the fort. Upgrading your buildings is an integral part of gameplay, and understanding how to do it right is crucial. Let's delve deeper into the 2 types of upgrades you can make in your settlement: passive and active upgrades. Passive upgrades work to enhance your resource generation. Here's what they do. Boost the passive production ratio. This increment is 1 for building levels between 2 and 5, 2 for levels 6 to 10, and 3 for levels 11 to 15. This pattern continues as your building level increases. These upgrades only require wood to be implemented. They increase your building level by 1. The treasury also benefits from these upgrades, growing according to the building level. It's important to note that passive upgrades do not increase the worker limit. The time it takes to implement a passive upgrade is equal to the building level multiplied by 6 hours. On the other hand, active upgrades are focused on enhancing your workforce. They increase your worker limit. This increase scales with the building level, going up by 1 for levels 2 to 5, 2 for levels 6 to 10, 3 for levels 11 to 15, and so on. Only require ore for their implementation. Raise your building level by 1. The treasury also grows in accordance with the building level. Now let's discuss the best practices when it comes to upgrading your buildings. It's all about finding the perfect balance. Strive to balance passive and active upgrades to optimize your production ratios, as well as the number of workers you can house. In the initial stages of your settlement growth, when your building level is between 2 and 5, passive upgrades should take precedence. This approach ensures steady resource growth without investing too much too early. As your settlement matures and your building level climbs above 5, shift your focus towards active upgrades. Increasing your worker limit at this stage will significantly boost your resource generation, setting your settlement on the path to prosperity. Each settlement in Mithraeum is equipped with a single army. The structure of the game is such that you cannot form more than 1 army per settlement, no matter how much your settlement grows. Your army can be as diverse as you like, encompassing a varying number of 3 types of units. Interestingly, your army is not confined to your settlement. It can be positioned in any settlement across the game map, without being affected by the distance between the home settlement and its current location. Your army has a range of activities it can participate in. It can engage in battles and sieges, maneuver across the map, or even be involved in multiple activities concurrently, such as fighting a battle while under siege. However, there are a few things to note when managing your army. Firstly, it can only be replenished in the barracks of its home settlement. Secondly, the size of your army is directly limited by the current HP of your fort, meaning that you cannot have more units than your fort's HP. Despite each settlement having only one army, multiple armies can inhabit a single settlement simultaneously. These armies can be involved in a variety of activities, even partaking in different battles at the same time. The strategic deployment and management of armies are central aspects of gameplay in Mithraeum. The time it takes for your army to reach its destination depends on the number of hexes your army has to traverse. There's also a handy feature available when you're on the move. As you dispatch your army, you can choose to draw food from the treasury of your farm. This food extraction option, available in the settlement your army is leaving from, ensures that your forces remain supplied during their journey. So, as you plan your army's maneuvers, remember to factor in this useful functionality. Battles in Mithraeum are initiated between any two armies that find themselves in the same settlement. The duration of a battle varies from 0 to 24 hours, largely determined by the size ratio of the armies that first enter the fray. The closer in size the armies are, the longer the battle lasts. On the other hand, if the armies are unequal in size, the battle comes to a swift conclusion. Every battle in Mithraeum unfolds in two distinct phases, Phase 1 and Phase 2. These phases determine the ebb and flow of combat and influence your strategic decisions. In the pre-battle lobby stage, additional players can join the battle. Once the battle commences, the damage sustained by each side and army is calculated based on a formula that divides all received damage by the total HP of all units. In Phase 1, horsemen hold the upper hand while warriors seem less effective. However, this dynamic dramatically shifts in Phase 2, where warriors come to the forefront, turning the tables on the now vulnerable horsemen. Archers maintain their relevance in both phases, causing substantial damage in Phase 1 and offering robust defense in Phase 2 for both themselves and their allies. During the battle, you can assess your army's performance in each phase, observing the losses you've sustained. This comprehensive battlefield overview lets you call upon new allies during the lobby stage to patch up any weaknesses revealed in a specific battle phase. If your strategy is built around warriors, your aim is to endure until Phase 2, whereas if you favor horsemen, your objective is to obliterate all enemy warriors in Phase 1. In Mithraeum, sieges are a vital strategic element. The primary aim of a siege is to devastate the enemy's fort while amassing robbery tokens, which can then be traded for resources from the besieged settlement's treasury. Any army on the same hex as the besieged fort can participate in the siege. Players get to choose between 3 different siege modes, each with its own balance of risk and reward. For the duration of the siege, your army is divided into 2 distinct components, guards and raiders. The guards remain stationary, potentially attracting enemy attacks, while the raiders serve a dual purpose. They inflict persistent damage on the fort and generate robbery tokens when the fort falls. Raiders are invulnerable to direct attacks, but if the number of guards falls below a third after a battle, raiders may be eliminated. You can keep track of the siege's progress on the map. Once the fort's HP reaches 0, the settlement is officially under siege and marked as such on the map. While your army is engaged in a siege, you can trade the robbery tokens you've accrued for resources stored in the treasury of the besieged settlement. Each raider unit produces 5 robbery tokens per day. In turn, 1 robbery token can be traded for 1 unit of any of the 4 available resources. However, this transaction comes with a catch. Exchanging robbery tokens incurs a permanent penalty of 10%. As a result, the besieged player's treasury loses 1 unit of the resource, but you only receive 0.9 units in return. This aspect highlights the importance of careful strategic planning in Mithraeum's gameplay. The mechanics of army maneuvers in Mithraeum can be quite intricate. When your army is on the move, 66% of the maneuver time is spent departing from the original settlement. During this period, your army can be attacked by other armies from the settlement you're leaving. The remaining 33% of the maneuver time is characterized by a state known as Exhaustion. In this status, the army is physically located in the settlement it's moving towards, but cannot perform any actions. Furthermore, it can be attacked by armies from the settlement it's arriving at. Interestingly, if your army size drops to 0, it can only move towards its home settlement. Battles with a maneuvering army have a duration limit, which is the time left before the end of the maneuver. While an army is in a state of exhaustion, it is limited in its capabilities. It cannot attack, join a battle, start or leave a siege, rearrange a siege, hire more units, demilitarize, or make further maneuvers. Upon reaching a settlement, an army gains exhaustion equivalent to 60% of the time it spent on the maneuver. And there you have it, a detailed rundown of Mithraeum's rules, mechanics, and some strategic insight from our seasoned team at Metaguild. Remember, Mithraeum is not just about winning battles, it's about diplomacy, strategy, and understanding the nuanced dynamics of the game world. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth guides and strategy discussions. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the battlefield.